Okay, so today I'm going to test streaming on my Starlink yet again. So I've done a couple of these sessions where I've tried to do my debate format and bring back some of my Absolutist philosophy topics, but it was crashing quite a bit, so I don't know exactly how to control that. It could be that you go in certain locations where it's not as strong, or you go under something. If there's something above your head, so it blocks it, like some trees or something. I don't really know how it determines it. It still seems better overall than using a phone service, but yeah, let me discuss something almost a little more lighthearted or just random stuff today. What are some topics in the world currently that people would be fixated on? Like there's this thing with Trump and Elon Musk and stuff like that it would make it seem oh, you must be defending them or you must be fans of them, when it doesn't have to be that. It's just more selective, right? So let's look at Elon Musk. People would say, oh, you own a Tesla? Or, oh, not that I do. I'm just saying if somebody does. Or even having the Starlink. Wow. Imagine having that, because Elon Musk is a big, bad billionaire. The problem with that is what you're really punishing is honesty and him being vocal. Not saying that what he says is right or true. It means more that he's expressive, right? Elon Musk likes to share his views, whatever they might be. He's very open about them. Whereas most billionaires are clandestine, they hide in the background, they stay out of public view, they try to be unobjectionable and just, politically correct. So what you're really doing is, the one time a billionaire actually says what they really think, now you kill them because you disagree with it, instead of at least respecting the fact that, I at least appreciate that you're willing to be vocal, willing to have the conversation, willing to say what you think and be honest, even if you might face repercussions for it. Right, so it's do you know every single billionaire, every single wealthy corporation and its owners? Do you know these people? Do you vouch for their views? Do you, know everything what they believe about every single thing? This is the problem, with the sort of cancel culture thing, is it's so selective. So I call it sort of rule by omission, the idea that, so if everybody else you assume is perfect, but then because Elon Musk says what he thinks, now you blame him or you treat him negatively. It's every other billionaire might be just as bad or worse, but they're not going to say their views. They're going to hide them. They're going to stay in the dark, stay in the background. So that's the difference, is he's vocal about it, so in a way that's a good thing. Even if you disagree with what he says, at least he's open about it. Whereas mostly powerful people tend to stay in the background and don't want to do that. Or what they'll say is just very, textbook politically correct. So that's my issue with it. It doesn't mean you even have to like them or defend them or anything. That's often the trap I get caught in, which isn't really a trap, but it's just kind of annoying, where I end up defending people who I might not even like, but I just defend them against fallacies that aren't, obviously by definition, a fallacy that doesn't make sense or doesn't have value. So, right, I would do the same thing across the board. So it's more important to have a sound reason for what you're doing than simply, having the outcome. Right, you could have a sound process. Basically of how you get there or how you get to where you want to go. So today I was actually planning to do a long mobile stream, actually playing mobile games and stuff, but just to, keep trying to flesh that out, even though I keep trying to get immersed, but then it's very distracting because there's so many things to choose from. But but then it wouldn't work, and I had some other setup I was trying to do, and so it ended up not even happening. But yeah, the Elon Musk thing is unfortunate because it assumes too much, right? It doesn't mean he's a good guy or you shouldn't take issue with what he says or this or that, but do you know every other billionaire or big corporation and stuff like this? Do you know them as well as that you know him? Does the media put a microscope on them as much? Does it you're assuming everybody is perfect because they just don't say anything, and then you assume he's the worst because he's actually willing to talk and have the conversation and state his opinions, because in that sense he has nothing to gain for it either. That's why this is where the media goes berserk, like, oh, he does a little hand gesture and people are trying to make it out to be something, like this was a while ago. I just love that perception of liberals or Democrats or whatever it is, the left, a lot. Like, everybody is who you don't agree with or who's a Republican or whatever is just the worst person ever. And yet, somehow it's like your fault for not I don't know, I forgot what I was even saying. It's like it's your fault for not accounting for that. What else do we have? So basically you're in a position to, again, be selective. If you knew everyone else as well as you know him, if everyone was as vocal as he is, right, would actually have some significant impact. Versus, again, the most common fallacy at issue most of the time that people have in general is like the just accepting things the way they are kind of blindly and just, doing that without any second thought. So that's the big fallacy of like the initial mindedness that society overall will value that, like it'll value I don't know. Okay, let me think of another topic, but again, that's my main issue with it, right? It doesn't even mean that what you're saying is wrong per se, although a lot of the time it's embellished, but it's the selective nature of it. If you knew everybody else as well as Trump or as well as Elon Musk, or if you put a microscope on them, or if you, watch their every move. Right, there's no doubt you'd find flaws. So even that is a fallacy that you may see in countries like China or something, that like somebody really did do something wrong, but they only go after them when, right, if they have some political dissidence or disagreement. Let me think, what else can we discuss here? I'm doing this in a way just to test, again, the Starlink's capability and the mobile streaming. but also trying to fit in almost like the debate format element here that I would do. What else can I do here? I basically get to, again, you're looking at sort of a selective myopic treatment, which allows you to, it's not that they're even good or that they aren't bad, but people will hyperfixate and focus on every little thing Trump does, or one of these people do, and then you ignore those same things or take them for granted in the presence of other presidents or something like that. So what I can do is I can discuss the fact of historical basis where I don't know, I'm a little tired, but it's a situation where I definitely want basically just to get back there. What else? It's hard to do this when I'm so tired, but no, we can have like testing the kind of, I was testing earlier the Bluetooth mic with the sound because I use it as a headphone basically, but then let me think here. You have to be able to try and figure it out from the other perspective. So, okay, so today I'm going to be doing another mobile stream, and this is while driving, and this is also on my Starlink Mini on my dashboard, and I'm using my Bluetooth headphone as a speaker as well as the mic. So I guess I typically haven't done that while driving. So the iPhone mic is supposed to be good, right? The speaker on the iPhone, but it's just always either I'm talking too loud or it's like too sensitive. I even see people holding that out in like interviews and stuff. Right, like they're interviewing an athlete and they're holding out a fucking iPhone in their face. Like that must mean it's pretty good quality, right? But somehow, I don't know. So let's just discuss random stuff. I don't feel like doing a proper episode of the Absolutist Philosophy unless I know for sure it's gonna work. But the one good thing is it doesn't seem like the weather, not to jinx it, but the weather doesn't really affect it as much as like even the clouds don't seem to affect it. It's more so just if there's some physical object in between, like a tree or something like that, right? Which you would think a cloud would almost have the same effect, but yeah, let's think about some interesting things to talk about. I mean, again, the whole chess drama with everybody scapegoating Kramnik. That's just one topic that I find fascinating, right? So the same people who would say that Hans Niemann cheated over the board in a highly vetted in-person event where he's being searched and stuff, right? The same people who say that would not believe that somebody could be cheating online. And again, it doesn't matter who it is, right? Like, I'm not saying any accusation is true. What I mean is just in a broad sense, like, the issue of online cheating is the real enemy, right? You can talk about Kramnik all you want, but there'll be other examples, like the fact that accusations like that are even possible is the issue, right? Like, you could accuse the most honest, trustworthy person ever, right? And the reason why that accusation is even possible is because, oh, because it's online, so you never know what somebody could be doing, right? Just like even in person over the board, apparently you still can't know what people are doing. So there's something missing with that picture. Let me try to recap maybe on those three. Like, I don't know why I like doing that more so in this context of while driving. It seems to make more sense because I could just sit there and do it like anytime, but it seems to make more sense this way almost. The absolutist philosophy, because you're not really doing anything. It's not like you're playing something. You're just talking. Or that's the one joke I always made. Like, I'm a grandmaster and I'm playing correspondence chess while driving using my voice. Like somebody could be doing that, right? That's a pretty funny form of content that probably nobody's ever done before. Or not even correspondence. It's like pretend Magnus is like driving in his car or something, or doing something really intensive, but yet he's still able to play chess, like obviously mentally and with his voice. But he'll just be blurting out moves and playing bullet at a higher level than anybody else, even with his voice. So yeah, the whole issue is the fact that, again, it's amazing how much chess drama there's been, but it's no accident or it's no coincidence, right? That's what a lot of these streamers have fed off of and really turned it into. And so it's an unfortunate thing because you realize that, all these streamers who'd now be putting out like for example, I'm a nobody, but I defended Hans Niemann and said that there was no basis to say he cheated, right? That was very early on in that accusation. So, a lot of these same streamers who bolster drama and make a big thing out of it for clicks, right? And would have jumped all over Hans Niemann. I think we're missing the whole point with that, and I don't like it because thankfully nothing bad happened with Hans, and yes, of course, assassinate his character to justify it. Like, well, he's cheated online in the past, but the way that Hans was treated was very unfair. And so, like, what if something happened there? Would all the big streamers be accountable, or they even should still be accountable because nothing was proven and it's a false accusation? So it shows you just the power that they're able to bolster drama and make it a big thing, even if there's no basis to it whatsoever. And so it allows you to see how stupid that is. Like, I love the paranoia of cheating in chess, whether it be because Magnus did that or it just feels like Magnus didn't get the proper comeuppance for that. So he makes a false accusation. The media runs with it. A lot of people run with it, right? The public is making memes about it and stuff. And then Magnus doesn't face any repercussions for it. And even in a way, he gets celebrated for it. Like, oh, people somehow defend him or they, people somehow defend him or they decide to kind of dunk on Hans, like, oh, look, Hans just lost to somebody in a tournament. Wow, that proves he must have been cheating all this time until now. Like, when even in that same event that he supposedly cheated, he lost to Magnus that particular game, or I mean, he beat Magnus in that particular game where he was accused, but then he ended up losing that match. So oh, maybe because the spotlight's on him now, he won't cheat anymore. But again, this whole character assassination thing is kind of bad because it's like you can assume he wants to do it. Like we assume that of people in society in general, right? Like everybody would break the law. That's why we have laws. So we assume the intent. It's more so about the means now. How did they get away with it? That this is like a Darwinistic and even within my absolutist philosophy principle, like it comes down to ability, not morality. Like, are you good enough to get away with it? Are you good enough to do something? Right, that's really the defining factor, not whether, oh, it's you're a good person or not, or right or wrong. As much as we might want to believe that, if somebody's good enough to do something and get away with it, then you can't stop them. And, yeah, I've given mobile streaming and mobile gaming a real shot this last month or so. For whatever reason, I just wanted to do that because it started with me just unboxing a bunch of stuff. But then, since one of the things I unboxed was the iPhone 16, I figured, oh, I may as well try it. And it's a pretty miserable experience, not just because mobile games maybe suck or the whole thing is dumb, but between the internet and the constant crashes or the one thing I just wish that would happen in here is that like people come in and actually discuss something with me, which might seem a little bit much, but like it's just nice. Then they give me like something to talk about because like here I'm just kind of randomly going, and if I'm doing my debate format points, then obviously that's relevant. But and this like when the snow is coming at you is an interesting effect because it does almost blind you a little bit, like because it makes everything look so I don't know. It's like some sort of illusion. But yeah, this is kind of a sad state of streaming if this is what I'm actually doing because I feel like, it's not really what I want to do, but it works. In the sense that it's just like a filler type category. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Right, my filler category went from chess to just chatting because, even that I'm not doing as much now. But I'll say like I never studied chess, but I did learn one thing about it, and the one thing I learned was that you can't really be good at it without studying, which maybe seems obvious, but e- even at a relatively low to intermediate level, you feel like there's no point because it's a situation where I people still do study. It feels like so. Again, there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, although I do dislike it at that level because then it feels like okay, you're just flexing, and it's like you're trying to show off something that well anybody could study that or anybody could just do that. Or yeah, there's like some trending take now that oh Magnus is saying that chess is ruined now because of AI, which is a typical within my debate format that would always be the term I would use, the machination process. It's a fallacy that like oh back in my day we had to do this and then the older generation will always say that. So that's missing the point, right? Like, yeah, computers have been better than people for a while now, and that doesn't invalidate the game. And AI and other, more advanced stuff going forward also doesn't invalidate the game. So this notion that, all it's doing is revealing the nature of the game. So maybe it's not so much that AI is to blame, it's just that the game itself is simple. Chess is a simple game relative to other things like, so now the technology will reveal that to you. Right, reveal its simplicity or make it as easy as possible for people to learn it. But yeah, that's kind of stupid to diminish it like that because that's always been the case. right? Every step of the way, there'll be some other technological improvement, and then you'll blame that for all the problems that you have, right? So it's like, so yeah, that's a dumb thing because again, everybody's under the same condition too. I sometimes have to say this in a sports context, like, oh, it's a weak era, but if it's so weak, why weren't they? I love that as a qualifier too. People say that about Paul Morphy too in chess. Like, okay, Morphy's greatness is overrated and he's not the goat or whatever because his competition was weak and his era was weak, right? So think about what you're saying. The era was weak, but he was great. So what does that mean? Like, right? Like, wasn't he part of that same era? Wasn't he born in that era? Didn't he have to deal with all the weaknesses of that era? So in other words, he overcame it and beat everybody else who was playing under the same circumstances. So how can you say that disadvantages him, like, or gives him an advantage? Like, oh, he's playing in this weak era. Wow, so pathetic. But whatever it is that makes it weak, like for example in chess, oh, we have a lesser state of theory. We don't have a bunch of books to read. We don't have the engine. We don't have very many resources. So everyone has to deal with that, and that's part of the reason why it's weak. But but everybody had to deal with that, including him. So how does that benefit him or diminish his greatness, right? Like, so if you take away all that those advantages from Magnus and put him back in that era, maybe he wouldn't be as good. Maybe he wouldn't be, or he certainly wouldn't be as good as he is. But like, maybe he wouldn't be as good as Paul Morphy, right? It's impossible to judge that. So, whereas other players under the same conditions as Magnus can do what he not can't do what he's doing, but they can be pretty close, like 2800 and stuff. So it's like you sometimes mistake what it's really about, right? The technology available has way more of an impact than the individual, right? Like you could be, I don't know. So the other thing that I want to say is the fact that there's so many fallacies in chess that it's kind of shocking, actually. The biggest one is that, oh, it makes you smarter. If you're smart, you're good at it, even though it's not, because um, it's more about borrowed knowledge and this and that. So if you really commit to it, then you can see how far you can go. But it's not like it's definitely not an innate game the way that I maybe originally thought or always said. Like, oh, if you just play it for the first time or kind of raw, and oh wow, it'll if you're good or you're smart or whatever, you'll immediately be good. But that's not how it works. So you have to really study and really commit to it. Jesus Christ, now we're getting quite the drive here. So I tried this thing from Chick-fil-A, peppermint, like a peppermint shake, and it's actually pretty good. It's got kind of a lighter flavor. I typically don't like peppermint stuff, but they didn't have what I normally get, which is like a lemonade. So now, and I guess it makes sense because it's basically winter now, but they just had it like last week when I went. Should I rank more fast food related things since I had done that little tier list there? Man, yeah, those are like the two series I have ongoing, like the 2K stuff, and then the mobile games, and then I like how I found a thematic way to do that. Like, oh, I don't normally do anything for Halloween, but since I happen to be doing mobile streaming anyway, I may as well try to find something on there to do. Right, like mobile horror games, so it kind of segues pretty well into that. So, what else do we have here? I got to go in with maybe an itinerary of stuff to talk about, or I don't know. Those episodes were pretty good that I just did, the Absolutist Philosophy, but the problem is the audio quality is not going to be the greatest, so that's kind of a little messed up. So let me think. Let me think. Oh yeah, let me talk about some NBA stuff since whatever is happening. Like Wemby is kind of going crazy, playing great. I don't know that he'll maintain it through the whole season or something, but there's like a whole training montage caliber thing where you feel like in the off season, oh, he trained with monks and he trained with Hakeem and he did this and that. So now, people are really glazing that up, which is fine, but so what else can I discuss here? That's always a fallacy. Like, why are tinted windows always banned or illegal in a lot of places? Like, oh, because you should be able to see inside in case there's something bad happening. But I don't know. It feels like it should be an option that you have. Okay, what else? What else? The 2028 presidential election. Like, oh, if think about it, like the logic of a Trump voter to some extent, right? You want an outsider, you want to shake things up and things like that. So what it means is, what if what if you like, I don't know, I forgot what I was even saying, but no, it's like perhaps was not the greatest time to be driving in the first place, but it's okay. But that's kind of the advantage, despite whatever else is like at nighttime or in certain conditions. It's like, oh, it could be harder to drive, but then it makes it better because you don't have to deal with other people as much. If there's just less people on the road, so the two kind of almost counteract each other. Or yeah, even when there's this light early season snow, there'll be all these clouds and stuff out dropping dropping salt and stuff, and everybody's like not ready for it. Or some places even use sand. That's what somebody was telling me. Instead of salt, they'll use sand, whether it's because it's cheaper or more effective or something. But no, I tend to be very slow if it means, you'd rather just be safe and slow and it doesn't matter. But then somebody will start to tailgate you and stuff. That's always one of the great conflicts of society is like the high beam, low beam thing, like turning it off when you run into somebody, when you're passing somebody. Damn. Or this is almost where you, that'd be interesting. You should almost do your camera shit now. Like, I got to figure out how to do that. Not that I like to show really anything IRL, but like I could show my dash cam. It's like, wow, this is actually show like some crazy blizzard happening or something. Or whatever. People just like some sort of visual feedback better than just me leaving this notepad thing open, basically. But the worst is like the early season when nobody's ready for it. People don't know how to drive or whatever. But then also like the plows maybe aren't ready and in full rotation. So even if the snow itself isn't that bad, it could be a bad time because it'll be like the roads are pretty untouched and they're not ready for it. They're not used to it yet for the season. So what we need to do is figure out. Let me think of another topic. I should like dig into my phone notes one of these times. I can't do it now, obviously, but I just read through some of those and let that be a topic because yeah. Let me think of another topic here, like the fact that you have like how would a philosopher rationalize what I call solid favoritism in the sense that escapism and entertainment and stuff like that, like that would hurt their credibility the same way that you would say, okay, you abide by the longevity process, that like, oh, you're trying to live as long as possible, but then, oh, you smoke and you drink and this and that. So that means you don't have any credibility or basis to outwardly insist upon something or tell others what to do because your supposed measure of value is the fact that um, your base of value is supposedly okay. You're trying to live as long as possible, but then you cut that short at various times for convenience or pleasure, hedonism. So I call it half-mass hedonism that you decide to you decide to base your whole life around it, which is always something interesting. And then uh, trying to think what other topics could we touch on. Or like, okay, I predicted Luca will win the MVP this year because it just feels like the right storyline type moment. You're in a big market. You're on the Lakers. You're trying to prove yourself. You left Dallas, obviously. Well, I mean, they traded you. You didn't leave like by choice, but right. So all of that is a good storyline. And Luke is a player who feels like he should already have an MVP. So at some point, you're gonna have to give him one. Like it just feels kind of obligatory, overdue, and it's like the Kobe Shaq effect, right? Most people would have Kobe and Shaq both in their top 10, at least, players of all time. Uh, but even if you do that, then I'm going like super slow and pissing people off behind me now, but I don't care. Like, or if you're in front, it could be different for you than the people behind you because you're at least carving a path as you go. The thing is that you get to I can't tell if that would help you like stay awake or make you more tired. The fact that you're talking and stuff like this. I try to never use that as an excuse in my playthroughs and stuff like, oh, because I was streaming or because I was giving commentary that somehow hurt my performance. Like, even though yes, you could say it's distracting, it doesn't mean that that's why you would die or something. They overtook me. See, that's the real danger is these fucking clowns who drive like this. Not, or you can say I'm a clown too, but you can't overtake me and stuff. But I like how they actually obey that, even though there's nobody around in front of us clearly, and they could have easily overtaken at any time. They waited a super long time until we got to that dotted line on our side, and then they did change. So they obeyed that so religiously, even though there was nobody else out there. Let me see, what else could we discuss here? Uh, 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 so if you, let me think. Yeah, I need maybe more of a structure a little bit to play off of and stuff like that before I expect that right now. So,